Hey Troy, how you doing? I got that stuff for you.
I am the way. I am the way. He says, I am the truth. That means there's not many truths, there's only one truth. Not many truths, only one truth. And truth is whatever you perceive it to be. Truth is truth. It's not a lie.
All right, buddy. How you doing? Hey, I went to your church yesterday. Actually, Friday.
Oh, yeah?
Friday night. Well, Friday night. I went Wednesday, and then I came back to interview Billy and his son. But I got the stuff here. Are you still? You're still willing to accept 20 contradictions? Is that you be willing to look at it? Okay, cool. That's good. I put a little thing together here for you. It's in here, and if you would just take it, really appreciate it. And yeah, you don't have to do it now. Just maybe take it home and look at it and investigate it. And then I got my.
What happened with you and Billy? How did that go?
He's a very aggressive father figure kind of guy. I was really trying to interview Steven because he's doing he went to Mexico. He's got a wife there, and he's a missionary. So that was really interesting to me. So I got his number on Wednesday after we did the prayer. We broke out for some prayer sessions, and I really wanted to talk with him. And I was texting him, and we set something up. And then at the last minute, he said his dad would be joining him, which was fine. But he ended up kind of dominating the conversation. Yeah, and it became more of a debate rather than a conversation.
Yeah, just try to get him on a good day, because I remember when a few times you've come out here and you've debated with me. It wasn't really a conversation, but it was more of a debate.
Exactly.
And it turned into the wrong thing.
Yes, it's funny you say that.
We'll get him on a different day, and maybe things will, the ice will break up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we're out here preaching, we're trying to, at least some of us are trying to stay focused on our message, on our topic.
Right. Well, I also kind of flubbed it where I mentioned to him that, when I first started doing this, I was very confrontational with street preachers, and he immediately just grasped onto that. And I think he missed the point where I was saying, but I really think things have gotten better, and I'm becoming more listening, and we're having more conversations than actually arguing. And then I think maybe a week or so he was preaching and somebody spit at his face. So I think maybe he was sort of maybe associating me with that bad experience. But he did invite me to come back, and we said that we'd talk some more.
We invite you, especially on Sunday. Sunday's a good day.
Yeah? Or maybe afterwards, after the service or something? I've got his...
We come over here and we'll stay away.
Yeah, he gave me his phone number, so maybe I'll set something up with him. But yeah, it was kind of hard to recover from that. I think he was really maybe fixated on me admitting that I was aggressive at first, but he missed the part where I was saying I think things have improved. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I even talk about that a little bit in the note to you. But I do appreciate you being willing to accept that.
Yeah, so these are contradictions.
It's one.
All right.
It's one.
One contradiction?
Yes, sir. And we can. I gave you the option where I can help you with the other 19, or there's some resources in there where you can actually identify those. But again, if you maybe just not take it lightly, but really take it home and.
My question is that you're walking around with a camera, questioning everybody, wanting evidence. What are you going to do when these questions of yours get answered legitimately, and you're faced with the book is accurate, it's proven to be accurate, and evolution is proven not to be, or there's a lot of real legitimate doubts, which there already are. What are you going to do with that when you weigh the both of them out? Because you say you're open-minded.
Yes.
But being really open-minded is looking at both sides equally.
It is. In fact,
you've really been doing that.
Well, it's funny you say that also, because that guy Caleb that I was just talking to, we had a very somewhat good discussion about contradictions, and we basically came down to saying, you know, he believes the Bible is inerrant, and if he were to see one contradiction, it would cause him to move on that scale from 100 down to like 99%, which I thought was interesting. But then he asked me, if I were to show you that there were no contradictions, would you believe it? And I told him no. Just like if the Quran were shown to me to have no contradictions, I wouldn't believe the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita. If that were shown to have no because something has no contradictions wouldn't mean that it's actually true.
Why not? Well, with the Bible, it is true because the Bible was taken over a period of about 3,000 years. You have Genesis all the way to Revelation. That wasn't all written at one time. It was all put together over years and years. And so that spans longer than one man's generation.
Sorry.
So
Getting a little heated over there.
So one man
Sorry.
can't write the whole book in his generation. You know, it takes generations to finish a book
Right.
like that. So if you can take those pieces and put them together and they're accurate and they line up, which they are proven to do that, how do you get away
Yeah.
from that?
I think if a book was inerrant and had no contradictions, I think it would lend a lot of credence to the stories. But it still wouldn't be enough for me to accept it. But I'm different. You know, for somebody else, I might have a friend that's an atheist that would say, you know what, I would accept that if the Bible had no issues in it, no errors, no contradictions. I would accept that as fact.
But what
You know,
about
it's a personal
the
thing.
evolution part of it? What if, because you,
Remember I gave the example about the skull in the Cretaceous period? You know, there are things that I would accept that would cause me to change my position on it.
what if other scientists that are just as well qualified and educated that are neither Christian or atheist, they're just looking
Yeah.
at things objectively, and they say that there's just too many holes in this evolution. What if they have real legitimate, concrete evidence and proof?
If there were something like that, then it would cause me to doubt it. I would definitely want to research it some more. Yeah, absolutely. It works both ways. I really want to try to be as intellectually honest as possible, even on the things that I've come to accept as true.
I know, but you got to look at both. You got to look at both sides and give it equal weight. And it doesn't sound like you're doing that. It sounds like you're railed on one side and one track, and you don't want to get off of it.
That's not true.
There's plenty of other evidence that you could look at and weigh it out. And that's not true science, and true open-mindedness is looking at it that way.
Yes, sir.
It's not being,
That's right.
I like this because I don't like this, so I'm going to believe this is evidence. And it seems like, since I've known you coming down here, it seems like you like that, and that's the way you want to believe. And if anything challenges that, you don't really want to give it the full time and the full consideration.
Let me just say, I'm really excited to hear you say what you just said, because I agree with you. I think that if I were to be intellectually honest with myself, I should be willing to identify things that would cause me to change my mind. And I am open to follow your book if it could be demonstrated to be true.
So if I can explain this contradiction, you can give me another one.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
What will you do?
I want to try. I think that we should probably discuss that, right? Because we talked about what a contradiction is, and I reiterated what that is. I give an example of a contradiction. Remember, we were talking about the woman is standing, the woman is sitting.
Legitimate contradiction.
Yes, sir. Exactly. And this is why, you know, I don't know if you remember, but we had a pretty long conversation about. And I think I even said, even if a book didn't have a contradiction, that still wouldn't mean it was true. And therefore, I wouldn't have selected contradictions as something that would cause me to doubt. But that was something that you jumped on and you were okay with. And I double checked to make sure that you were cool with that. And you were, which is why I prepared one of them. Because I don't want to go down a rabbit hole and give you 20 when I find that even this first one you have some sort of issue with.
That's no problem.
Yeah, so I also gave you some tools in there, a book that you can go to on a website, where if you feel like you want to, let's say we never run into each other again, you would have the tools available to you for you to find out the other 19. But I'm willing to go ahead and get those for you as well if that's what you'd like to do. Okay? This is not a hard sell situation. I will give you as much help as you think that you need.
If you're really legitimate and just want answers, and whether it's me or other Christians give you good answers, what are you going to do with it? Are you still going
He
to
was nailed to the cross.
still gonna
He
denounce it,
fulfilled
or are you
all
gonna-
the law for us who can't.
are you going to
It's
consider both of them?
impossible for you.
What is that
Great
going to do to
question.
you?
You're
What's that
supposed
gonna
to
do to
follow
you? I
every
mean,
day the first and
what are you
second
gonna do with it
commandment.
if,
Love the Lord your God with all your heart.
I think it's kind of hard to say what I would do with it because I haven't seen it.
I know.
But I can tell you.
Hypothetically, if
Yeah.
you were to be given evidence, is what you want.
Yes, sir. I would examine it. I would research it. I'd probably be doing everything that you're probably going to be doing with the contradiction that I gave you.
So you'll examine my
Yes.
answer and.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
But let's just say if it proves to be a good answer and it's a good explanation,
They probably say that about Paul.
what's that going to do for you?
Well, if it just explains a contradiction, it probably wouldn't. If it explains a contradiction and shows that it really wasn't a contradiction, it probably honestly wouldn't change me because I'm not basing my disbelief on the Bible because of the lack or the because of the lack of contradictions, or because there aren't any contradictions, or there are contradictions. That's not the foundation for my lack of belief.
What is the foundation for the lack of belief?
That's really good. I'd just say probably lack of evidence right now. Yeah, for me, it's just lack of
This is
evidence.
supposed to be what this is, though. It's
Well, that's-
supposed to be helping towards that.
Well, don't confuse what I gave you as something that I would accept. Okay, this is
The only
something.
thing you would accept would be a skull and a Cretaceous period, you said, right?
Well,
That's your only.
for evolution, for example, for the theory of gravity, I might accept something else. Like we send a probe to a different planet and gravity is somehow different there. You know what I'm saying? Like I might be willing to accept that to change my understanding of how the theory of the theory of gravity works.
That is that way. Mars' gravity is different. The moon's
It is different, but I'm saying if it functions in a different manner. I know that because of the mass because of the mass of the planet, it still operates consistently. But I'm saying I'm open to be convinced that the theory of gravity is mistaken if it could be demonstrated. I don't know if I could. I've actually researched that in a few days of what I would accept to falsify the theory of gravity. I'm still kind of thinking about that. So.
Well, if you're what you say you are, if you're only looking at evidence, if that'll change your mind, when you start getting evidence, then you're not keeping consistent with what you said. Because if the evidence starts telling you that the book is accurate, and other evidence says evolution is not accurate.
Well, but I said, my standard for what would cause me to believe in the Bible is different than I think yours. If there were absolutely no contradictions in the Bible, it still wouldn't make me believe it. But when we had our conversations, because I feel that any book can be written that has no. I could write a book tomorrow that has no contradictions. It wouldn't mean that what it said is true.
Well, you can write about certain subjects that would be that way, but not about the beginning of Israel and the crossing out of Egypt and how Israel has become a nation and on all their wars, even today.
Were we having the conversation about the Book of Mormon, where if the Book of Mormon had no contradictions, it wouldn't mean that the Book of Mormon was actually true?
Yeah, I don't know if that wasn't me, but
okay. When I say that, that's sort of the same standard I would give to your book of the Quran. Even if there were absolutely no contradictions, it wouldn't cause me to want to believe that.
But that's all based on evidence.
It would lend more credence to the story, but it wouldn't be something that I would just want to change my life over just yet. I mean,
no, but it would get you on a certain platform that would would be like a good starting point to say if this book is that accurate, then number one, you have to cross out of your mind that it was all written by just men in his own wisdom and his own thoughts. Because, like I said, a man can't prophesy things, and a man can't write history and write the things that he did, and it would span this far and be accurate. And we know by history that it is accurate. And even when archaeologists dig stuff up, that, in Israel or in the Middle East, they find stuff that cities actually existed that are in the Bible, and they find true things. How do you explain that?
Okay. All right. Well,
that's what I'm saying. How do you explain those things? How do you get around it? It's not true.
Right. Yeah, I think maybe we've discussed that in the past, but why are some hostile people today? I think it's the heat. Do people get more hostile when it gets warmer out?
I don't know.
Okay. All right, listen, I got to run. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right,
I'll look it over.
I appreciate it, Troy. Take care. See ya.
Merchandise. Something to sell to you. You're not going to get saved by sending money.
I actually have the letter that I'm planning to hand to Troy, so maybe by the time you actually see this video, I've already handed it to him. But I wanted to read it to you so that you had an idea of what it was that I was giving him. Troy, I want to thank you for participating in our discussions over these past several weeks. I know that we got off to a rough start, and I regret taking such an aggressive approach with you at first, because I think it really hampered our overall progress. In our last discussion, you stated that 20 contradictions in the King James Bible would cause you to doubt it. We then essentially defined a contradiction as when one statement on a subject excludes the possibility of another statement, with our example being the old woman is sitting and the old woman is standing. Rather than provide you with 20 contradictions all at once, I offer to start with just one simple contradiction at the outset, just to make sure that we are on the right track before proceeding to the remaining 19. If you would like to seek out the remaining 19 contradictions on your own, instead of me bringing these to you, I would suggest the following approach. Number 1, rather than reading the Bible from start to finish, read the first few pages from Mark, the first few pages from Matthew, the first few pages from Luke, and the first few pages from John, in that order of authors. Continue reading these horizontally and document the discrepancies until you have completed the New Testament. Number 2, head online for free at theskepticsannotatedbible.com or purchase The Skeptic's Annotated Bible by Stephen Wells. I want to close by saying that if you do find your faith crumbling away, Troy, please reach out to me. I can help get you in touch with some excellent people who have found hope after faith, and they can assist you through your recovery. So I'm going to flip the page here. This is a 2-page document that I'm going to give to Troy. All right. Contradiction 1 of 20. To best keep with the example that we discussed in person last we met, I selected a simple contradiction where people are said to be standing in one instance, which is Acts 9:7, but laying down on the ground in another instance, which is Acts 26:14. In case you are wondering, I selected this contradiction because, number 1, it specifically is not entirely earth-shaking to your dogma. We can build up to those later. And number 2, it pairs up nicely with our previous conversation of what a contradiction would look like, which was the sitting/standing lady. So in Acts 9:7, the line is, "And the men who journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice but seeing no man." And then in Acts 26:14, "And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me." So the first contradiction of 20 is, the men cannot both be simultaneously standing up and lying down on the ground while hearing the voice. If you're watching this video, that means that I've actually handed this document to Troy, and he's hopefully taking it home to evaluate it.